I'm Dave Jelliff, and I serve on the board of DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church. I welcome everyone to our service this morning and welcome visitors to our open and inclusive community of faith. As Unitarian Universalists, we hold that there are many spiritual paths to truth and meaning, and we support one another as we each explore these paths. I would like to especially welcome our guests and welcome again those who have visited us before. Visitors, it is the custom of our congregation to invite you to stand and give your name and where you are from if you feel comfortable doing so. Are there any visitors who would like to introduce themselves? For those of you who are live streaming via YouTube, please be aware that during times of sharing joys and concerns, the live stream will go blank. The live stream will return after the joys and concerns. Our service can be heard outside the glass doors at the back of the sanctuary should anyone feel the need to leave the service for any reason. There are chairs provided for your convenience, and as we begin our service, please silence all electronic devices. And at this time, I'd like to call up Ann Ariano from nominating to make an announcement.
Good morning. As Dave said, I'm Ann Ariano with the nominating committee. The committee is pleased to announce the slate of candidates to be elected at the annual meeting on June 3rd for the 2018-2019 church year. Board Clerk, Karen Seymour Ells. Board Community Pillar, Jenny Hobbs. Endowment Committee, Sonny Simpson. Nominating Committee, Justin Hobbs and Jane Blumen. Committee on Ministry, Anna Harcharek. And Public Ministry Committee, Heather Amoza. This information with bio details and roles is also in your order of service today. We hope to see you at the casserole breakfast. I can't believe there are not going to be pancakes there this year. And at the annual business meeting on June 3rd. Thank you.
We light our chalice this morning for the beauty of the earth, for the fireflies, the bright lilies, and the sparkling sunlight, for the hills and mountains, and the moon that rises above the horizon. We light this chalice for the beauty of this company, these familiar faces and new friends, and the hands that form an ever-expanding circle of joy, love, and peace.
Good morning. I am Karen Campbell, and sitting behind me is our youth ensemble, and they range in age pretty far. We have from the youngest who are visiting Cal, who is coming back from college to help us. We even and Bonnie, another youth who is here, substituting. We have two piano players. Colin, would you like to raise something? Uh-oh. No. Yes, this has been a journey this time. So Colin has gamely been playing with one hand for weeks. And then it didn't work out that he got healed in time. Oh, thank you. I have a loud mouth though because I'm a teacher. And Bonnie jumped in last week to play left hand with us for the performance. So thank you to Bonnie for that. Let's give her a hand. Now we are going to play, if you're out there, you probably know John Legend. And this was suggested by Laurel Spahn about a year ago. And she just thought it would be a great song for that because in the spring I was trying to pick something. Well, I always try to pick something meaningful, but you know, the holidays limits that to some degree, but the spring is more of an open-ended choice of possible music, and I thought the words to this one, especially this year, it's very, very apt about youth getting out there and becoming active in whatever cause is important to them. So we can think about that. And is it possible? Oh no, the words. I'm sorry. The words are in your order of service. Oh, one more. I'm also privileged to have two singers today. We have Mason Ells and Andrew Connick coming back from college. So they're singing in octaves, which is a kind of cool thing. So thanks to Mason and Andrew.
If you hear this message, wherever you stand, calling every woman, calling every man, little generation, we're killing for some way. The future started yesterday.
Good morning. I am Steve Cooper, the Director of Religious Education of this church, and with me is Reverend Tom Capo, our minister. Today, we worship as a multi-generational community. Before we begin, let us take a moment to look around at those of us sharing this place. Let us recognize the hearts of our whole community, from our elder to our youngest, and all those in between. Let us embody the beauty of this all-church community, even when there are a few wiggles, giggles, and chatter. Let us remind ourselves to listen carefully and calm our minds. Begin by breathing peace and joy into this sacred space. You are surrounded by the love of this community. All are welcome.
Our children and youth are the future of this world. In the song you just heard by the ensemble, John Legend says, they are the generation that we've been waiting for. The future started yesterday and we're already too late. In 1 hour a week that we spend with the children of this church, we are working to ignite the flame within them to be the change that we've been waiting for. What we do best here as parents and educators is described by early 19th century Unitarian minister William Ellery Channing. This is what he says. The great end in religious instruction is not to stamp our minds upon the young, but to stir up their own. Not to make them see with our eyes, but to look inquiringly and steadily with their own. Not to give them a definite amount of knowledge, but to inspire a fervent love of truth. Not to form an outward regularity, but touch inside them inward springs. Not to bind them, to entrench prejudices to our particular sect or particular notions, to prepare them for their impartial, conscientious judging of whatever subjects may be offered to their decision. Not to burden memory, but to quicken and strengthen the power of thought. I invite you now to rise and body your spirit, and let us sing together hymn number 118, This Little Light of Mine. The words will be projected.
Shine,
long, long ago, there was a creator who had a hobby of making planets. The creator took pride in making each one different. One day, she looked at a gap in the solar system and said, "I think I'll make a planet to go over there. Let me think. How will I make this one?" She sat and looked out into the vast reaches of swirling matter and thought long and hard about creating another planet in her collection. She had a very large closet in which she had rows and rows of shelves with little jars and envelopes. So to begin, she took a large glass jar down from a shelf and started adding ingredients to her planet. A pinch of this, a pinch of that, and went daffodils and puppies and pizza. She added ladybugs and butterflies and fire ants just to make things more interesting. She poured in lots of liquid from a jar marked oceans and seas, and from the jar marked clear lakes, and slowly poured in a little more liquid from a jar marked waterfalls. And she smiled and added just a dash from a jar labeled mud puddles. She decided to shake in a sample from all of her boxes labeled human beings. She combined people of all sizes and shapes and ages and colors of skin and hair, many different kinds of noses and many interests and skills. And over all the people, she sprinkled in some powder called change, so that people would change in size and age, interests and skills. That would make this new planet interesting, she mused. I'm glad I thought to do this. And she looked in her bin called Moods and Emotions, wondering whether she should add a little or a lot. She started with love, adding in more than 2 cups. And then, with a mischievous smile, she closed her eyes and reached into the jar labeled miscellaneous, where there were bits and pieces of sadness and courage, loneliness and happiness, regret and hope. She shook in some schools and universities. She shook in some churches and temples and mosques so that people could come together to remember what was important in life. She added comfortable shoes, blue jeans, and warm coats and bathing suits. And from her bottle called Smells, she dropped in a pinch of hyacinth, a pinch of just baked chocolate chip cookies, a pinch of freshly mown grass, and just to make things more interesting, a pinch of skunk. She amused herself for days and days designing her new planet. Finally, she was almost done. Almost. There was one more ingredient she wanted to add, and she turned her closet upside down, looking for this one special jar she remembered that she had, but she just never used before. Finally, she found it hidden behind some jar tagged Calamvita. She carefully lifted down a little jar labeled Freedom. This jar, she read the description this time, and the label said, "This compound will aid in the ability to make choices, to choose one thing instead of another thing. Use cautiously, because the choices made will have consequences." The creator smiled as she measured out twice the maximum recommended dosage. She said to herself, "This will make it especially interesting." And she held open the jar in her hands, slowly turning it as she looked down into it. A soft chuckle rumbled out of her mouth and into the jar. A tear trickled down her cheek and into the jar also. She leaned over and blew in her warm breath. And then she screwed on the cover and flung the jar out into the star-speckled darkness. And it landed just where she intended, about 93 million miles from her favorite sun. And the Creator watched her planet settle into its new home. And she thought, what a nice piece of work. I hope they'll appreciate all the special things I did to make their planet interesting. Then she sat down with a good book, a bowl of popcorn, and some Calamvita, whatever that is. If you were to create a planet in our solar system, or perhaps adding ingredients to our planet Earth, what special jars would you pull out of your cupboard? Does your recipe have special instructions? So throughout the rest of today's service, we'll create a couple recipes for our desired planets. And after you've thought about it, you've decided what special ingredient you would like to include, you can go to either jar in the room and write or draw your ingredients and any special instructions. And I'm going to add the first ingredient, children singing.
I want to thank everybody for sharing their children with me. It's just been a delight. They've come and sung their little hearts out, and this is Jenny's idea. So yay, Jenny. I'm just sort of her arms and legs.
offer you a poem. It's called Our Caretakers. They bring their children to me and hope I'll come to know how much the offspring means to them and the trust in me bestowed. They bring their children to me with love and hope and pride, looking for a helping hand, a teacher who will guide them. They bring their child to me, and our partnership is clear: to nurture and allow to bloom a life we both hold dear. They bring their child to me, a step toward letting go and trusting in our special plan to help their children grow.
So today we want to acknowledge and honor one of our nursery care providers. Patty Christensen has provided care to our young children at DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church for 23 years. Hundreds of babies and toddlers have passed through our nursery since 1995 when Patty started. Many have grown up here and some stopped by to visit, but all of them were touched with Patty's heart and kindness. To illustrate this, I would like for all the kids, youth, and young adults that started in our nursery to stand up and remain standing. So even the younger kids that have they're already standing. Now, any parents that had children that stayed in the nursery over the last 23 years, please stand. Thank you, Patty. These are the hearts and souls you have touched. And Ben, can you run this over to Patty? And then you can go back and get back with the kids. Thank you. I would like to recognize the people who make this religious education program possible. The backbone of our church's religious education program is the Youth RE Committee. We meet monthly throughout the year, not only to maintain the Sunday morning programming, but to also ensure that other opportunities exist for learning and spiritual growth outside of the classroom. Committee members: Wendy Cortez, Karen Hutt, Teresa Salih, Cheryl Hines, Carrie Friedman, Jenny Hobbs, and Jen Johnson. Thank you. Our volunteer teachers and mentors are the body and heart of the religious education program. We had many volunteer positions to fill. Some that filled them were high school students. Some were parents of children in the program, and several were adults with no children in our program. Please stand and remain standing if you were, as I call your name. And these are teachers: Karen Lindebrecke, Joanne Allen, Amy Worley, Cassidy Ells, Elliot Stein, Nell Hassett, Megan Suman, Shelley Benyon, Phil Lambert, Melissa Plett, Agnes Kovac, Teresa Salih, Sarah Rubin, Rob Mirabali, Russ Manthe, Alex Martinson, Josh Falk, Bailey Scrocky, Chris Brown, Wendy Cortez, Beth Cuny, stay standing, and our mentors that helped with the Coming of Age program, Justin Hobbs, Joan Doyle, Diane Gelder, Laura Wilmarth-Tyna, Karen Seymour Ells, Sarah Linsink, and Karen Campbell. And I need some kids to come up here and help me because we have a gift for the teachers and mentors. Grab 2 and give 1 to someone that's standing. Yes. Okay. One to one person. I think we have enough right now. There's one way in the back. And then there's 2 upstairs. 1? Okay. So come down and meet them. Yep. I'm going to help hand these out. So thank you, teachers, mentors, RE committee members. This year we have 5 youth who have participated in our, in our youth religious education program. I didn't even get this program put with my own kids. So they're now graduating. Each year, we give a gift to our graduates and ask them to share with us what they have planned for the next part of their life journey. Our gift to them is a pewter pocket labyrinth. The labyrinth is viewed as a metaphor for a life's journey, offering lessons as we walk its path. Walking or tracking a labyrinth can assist one in addressing challenges, finding peace and serenity through meditation and prayer. I'll call each graduate and their parents forward, or parent, and give them their gift and allow them to share what is next in their life journey. Liam Anderson will probably come at the next service. Cassidy Ells. Tell us what you're doing.
Next year I'll be attending Western Washington University in state of Washington, not DC. Some people get confused on that one. I'll hopefully be studying environmental science, and part of why I wanted to study it is because of my upbringing as a Unitarian Universalist, you know, respect the interdependent web of life and all that, so.
I never know which way to pronounce her last name. Chloe.
Chloe. My daughter Chloe, Nguyen or Nguyen, or Nguyen is better probably, but that's not how we say it. It's been wrong all these years. She will be in a transition program through our school district and hopefully go to COD at some point. So that's what she's doing. Thank you.
Judah Spahn.
I'll be attending Michigan Tech University in the Upper Peninsula to study engineering.
My alma mater. And Amy Worley and her mom, Roberta Peterson, will receive her gift.
Thank you. Just got such a busy social calendar. Amy is going to be going to Purdue in Indiana. She's entering the exploratory program, I think they call it. It's undecided, undeclared person. She's looking at environmental sciences as one of her areas, but she's also thinking of teaching and psychology. She's all over the place. So hopefully exploratory will work and find the path.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve.
About 15 or 16 years ago, Karen Campbell asked if she could lead an ensemble of youth musicians during some of our services. Over the years, we have progressed from Ode to Joy to now pop music with vocals.
On behalf of the rest of the youth ensemble, I'd like to present Karen Campbell with these flowers. She's really enabled all of us to share our musical talents with the church, and we just wanted to thank her for it. So thank you very much.
Thank you to all youth ensemble from now and the past. So I really love working with you, and I really appreciate this. The flowers are beautiful.
Music in our church has always been a gift and a treasure. We value our volunteers and staff. Thank you, Martha and Jenny, for reviving the children's choir, and Bonnie, who has shared her gift with us for over 20 years, and again, right now. Please stand and body your spirit as we sing hymn 1007, There's a River Flowing Through My Soul. 3 months ago, Reverend Tom, Mary Law, our congregational life coordinator, and I sat together in a meeting to brainstorm how we can do church better. After we created our list, we noticed a theme. The one thing that stuck out at us was a lack of connectedness. This is something we call siloing. This is where everything that happens within a certain component of the church only happens within that entity or within that silo. That work is only done inside of that committee or group, or that event doesn't reach out to all the demographics of the church. In fact, we found that we have many silos. Now, we're not saying that everything is in a silo, but there are some big areas that stood out to us. Think about what it would look like if the message in the Sunday service matched the message in the Youth RE program. Boom, we've just knocked down a silo. What if our small group ministry topics and adult religious education aligned with the sermon topics? Yep, that knocks down another silo. What if 2 or 3 committees worked together on projects and shared goals with each other? What if during event planning for the church, all demographics were taken into consideration? Age, ability, beliefs, class, race, etc. Rev Tom, Mary, and I continued to pursue this stream of thought. What would something like this be called? So we're talking about the ministry of the church, but we're also talking about the whole church being connected and knowing what everybody else is doing. What would we call this initiative? How about whole church ministry? So we agreed on what to call it, but how do we go about creating this change? So I want to share with you a significant part that relates to youth religious education and families. In the past, we have tried to figure out how to give our youth more worship experience. We had children from different age groups attend the service each Sunday, but it was difficult to align the service message with the current lesson in the youth curricula. And of course, each age level had a different curriculum. So after doing a lot of research, we found a co-op of UU churches that provides monthly themes that has content for worship, youth and adult religious education, and small group ministry. Imagine driving home after church on a Sunday, and everyone in the vehicle had heard a similar message that day. It could be just like driving home after a movie and sharing about the movie, what were their favorite parts, what did they hear, and what they thought about it. So each month we'll have a theme, and each week we'll focus on a different aspect of that theme. And we'll have family-friendly resources to go along with the themes so that church can go home with you. A big change will be that the classrooms will look more like small group ministry. Our teachers will be small group leaders. And rather than having curricula-based lessons, they will be theme-based. And each Sunday, we will all start together in the service as one large community. And except for our intergenerational services, we will have a time for all ages, and then the youth will go off to meet in their small groups. Now, this is just one aspect of whole church ministry, but I wanted to give you a glimpse of what it will look like starting this fall. And Rev Tom, Mary, and I are very excited about this new venture.
I hope you all have the opportunity to meet someone new this morning. And I certainly hope to meet all our first-time guests this morning after the service. If you don't get a chance to talk to me, feel free to make use of that phone number printed on the order of service, and we can chat about our congregation, about Unitarian Universalism. I'm sure that our members here are willing and ready to offer that same chat with you. This congregation is theologically diverse. We have diverse religious beliefs, with membership open to all who are in accordance with our principles, mission, and vision. We are an independent congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association, an association of approximately 1,000 congregations in this country and in this world. Our congregation is entirely self-governed and financially supported by the voluntary generosity of all of you, our members and friends. To this end, let there be an offering to sustain the work of this, our beloved community. The morning's offering will be greatly and gracefully received.
In the Boy Scout program, one of the emblems that a scout can receive is for religion. For a Cub Scout, the UUA has a program called Love and Help, and it is a chance for a religious educator to work one-on-one with youth who want to learn more about what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist. This year, Ryan Cobb Larson and his dad Rourke asked that I work with Ryan on this program. We have finished it, and now I would like to acknowledge Ryan's work and give him a certificate of participation and his Love and Help emblem. Congratulations, Ryan. Please stand in body or spirit as we sing our closing song, number 114 in our gray hymnal, as we leave this friendly place, and we'll sing it through 3 times. 4 times. 4 times. 414. 3 times. 3 times.
of this church. May the songs we sing celebrate this love. May the lives we lead embody this spirit. And may you all go forth in peace. Don't forget after the second service there's a potluck. Now, turn around and greet one another. Let us share the love of this community.